Tuesday, 23rd of September 2025. That is the date on which the auto-aim test went live in the game servers. But what is this test? Or what was this test for those that are watching this later? Well, for targets within 200 meters, auto-aim's functionality remains unchanged. It's the same. For targets that are further away than 200 meters, you will have to aim closer to the tank for the tank's information panel to display. You will have to move your camera directly on the tank before you can activate auto-aim to lock onto the target. This was a test that I talked about in my recent news video. And in that news video, I made the point that, in my opinion, based on what we knew at the time, or what I knew at the time I should say, I felt that this test was a fundamental misunderstanding of the issue in the game. And I stand by that to an extent. But one thing this test has done is highlight something that I personally wasn't really aware of. So, to go over what I mentioned before, just quickly, auto-aim is not the problem. The mechanic of auto-aim is not the issue. We've had auto-aim since the inception of this game, and it's, I guess for some people it's been a bit of an irritation at times. You get snapshotted from across the map. Yeah, it's annoying. KV2 smacks you for 600 or whatever it is, and he's 300 meters away, and you think, oh, great, yeah, whatever. That didn't happen very often. It happened, but it didn't happen very often, and it was a bit of a laughable. It was a laughable moment. You're like, whoa, how did that happen? It wasn't really an issue. The issue, though, these days, is that we have tanks like the T249, World War II, Weasel 1, Era 2, XM800T, Era 2, Armadillo, Era 2, Marder 1A1, Era 2, Marder 1A3, Era 3, FV107, Era 1. We have all these vehicles that you can argue abuse auto-aim. These are the tanks with rapid rates of fire on their weapon systems. These are the tanks that have enough penetration to shred you. And what they do is they run up beside you, auto-aim you, unload the clip, and in the case of the Weasel 1, a clip is enough. One clip from the Weasel is enough to destroy some of the best heavies in Era 2. That's the issue. The issue isn't auto-aim. The issue is the tank that is abusing auto-aim. It's the ability for these tanks to use auto-aim to annihilate things, to shred things. That's the problem. So that was the point I made, which is why I said I think this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the problem in the game. But now that the test has gone live, I've got a slightly different perspective, and I do think that Wargaming are onto something with this. I am one of the people that is not affected by this test. I say not affected, that's not strictly true. I am almost not affected by this test. I've played many games, Eras 1, 2 and 3, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've noticed, oh, I couldn't auto-lock that. Okay. It's happened so few, the number of times that's happened is so few that for me to say I've not noticed is a lie. I have noticed, but it's not enough of I haven't noticed it enough for me to think, oh my word, this is awful. I hate this. Okay, I couldn't auto-lock that target. Alright, fine, carry on. There are some people who are in the same boat as me, and they haven't noticed it at all. There are some people, though, that weren't aware of this test, and they've asked questions like, what's going on with the game? Is the game broken? Why is it not working? So there are those who didn't know this was happening and are confused. There are those of us who know this is happening and aren't bothered. But the final group is the group of people that are aware of this test, and they really don't like it. And this is kind of what I want to talk about. I like this game because there are so many ways to play it. And what I'm about to talk about is an example of the game being played in a way that I honestly wasn't aware was a main gameplay strategy, a main play style. I knew you could auto aim. I do it a lot with my light tanks, but I wasn't aware that people used it as widely as they did. So, as in the interest of having varied opinions and varied takes on things, I'm going to read a comment from someone. Not picking on this individual, just using this as the context for this group of people. So, Habu69 says, the new auto-aim in under 200 meter rule is bull. This rule damn near eliminates the sniping capabilities of most sniping tanks. If one of my teammates lights you up, I should be able to lock on immediately, regardless of distance, and then manual aim to make the shot count. Not knowing if you can be shot even though you are visible is a complete farce. Alright. What this comment highlights to me is that there is a group of people playing this game that don't do what I do. I manually aim almost every, outside of playing light tanks, and I want to clarify this. When I'm playing light tanks, I will auto aim a lot because I'm focusing on driving, and as many of you will have seen my bad driving clips, it's mostly light tanks because focusing on driving, if I'm not doing it, I stack it and I get another bad driving clip. That's why I use auto aim. If a tank is slower, I don't feel the need to. So mediums, tank destroyers, heavies, and if we're including World War II here, artillery. I don't use auto aim all that much. I don't want to say I never use it because that's not true. I would say 99% of my shots in all these other types of vehicle are manually aimed. That's how I played the game. That's how I always played the game. And I assumed that that was how the game was played by the majority of people. But this comment here highlights that there's a group of people that don't manually aim every shot. There's a group of people that use auto-aim to get the gun on target, and then they aim and adjust the accuracy or the area of the tank that's been targeted, aim for a weak point or whatever. There's a group of people that play that way. And I think that's really, really interesting because I knew auto-aim was a thing. I knew you could auto-lock targets at range, but I just never did. It's not something I ever thought about. But for this group of people that do use auto-aim, there's nothing wrong with the playstyle. There's nothing wrong with playing the game that way. You're clearly playing within the rules. You're playing within the mechanics of the game. You're not abusing the game. You're not cheating. But one thing that the first thing I thought of when I saw the upset from folks like this was, why are you upset that the game isn't aiming for you? But, and this was before I really understood the sort of gravity of this side of the community. The upset that this has caused for these people. My initial thought was, you're upset the game isn't giving you a crutch? That's what you're upset about? You're upset the game isn't aiming for you? And it's kind of highlighted a side of the game that I wasn't aware of. I thought everyone manually aimed. But what this has done is it's made me think to myself, well, this move from wargaming to nerf this is a push. It's a push towards, in my opinion, this is a push towards more skillful gameplay. I mean, for example, this individual here talks about sniping tanks. What was the comment? This rule damn near eliminates the sniping capabilities of most sniping tanks. Okay. I'm going to have an opinion here that might be unpopular. But hey, we're allowed to have opinions that are unpopular. I would say that's a bit of a skill issue. I have the Object 120. Era 2 tank destroyer. I've 3-marked it. I manually aim my shots. So, if I can 3-mark the 120, then this idea that the rule, this new auto-aim rule, eliminates the sniping capabilities of most tanks, that's not true. There is evidence to the contrary. I've 3-marked the 120, and I didn't use auto-aim to hit targets at long range. I hold the left trigger, I scan the horizon, I use my Mark 1 eyeball, and I look for targets, and if I see them, I'll manually aim at them and I will pull the trigger. Yes, there have been times where I've auto-aimed, can't say that I haven't, but this for me highlights a side of the community that I don't think is... How can I put this? There's a side of the community that I don't think is willing to work as hard as it ought to. If a mechanic is going to let you just suddenly manually aim at a target, that's not really you playing. That's not you aiming. That's you using the game to aim. And now, again, like I said, if it's allowed in the game, then fine. You know, you're not cheating, you're just playing within the game mechanics, that's fine. But having this taken away, I feel it's a little bit like Wargaming taking the stabilizers off your kiddie bike. You don't have 4 wheels to rely on now, you've got to rely on yourself balancing on 2 wheels. There's a lot of people that do it. You can balance on 2 wheels. You've just got to get used to it. You've just got to learn it. And that's the kind of approach I have to this test. I like I said, I thought this was a fundamental misunderstanding of the problem in the game. I thought this was Wargaming not getting it. But after seeing this response from people, I'm sort of changing my stance on it a little bit and thinking, no, this is Wargaming's move to make this more player versus player. This is more skill-based gameplay. They need to tweak short-range gameplay, obviously. My point about that still stands. But for long-range gameplay, you guys that have used auto-aim, well, now is an opportunity for you to play the game the same way I do. Manually aim the shot. It's me versus you, buddy. It's not me versus your auto-aim anymore. It's me versus you. Which one of us is the better player? And if you're struggling at long range, well, get better. And I know you can do it because I've done it. I know some people might not like hearing that, but if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm not alone in this. So I think this is a good move by Wargaming. I like this. I like the move towards more skill-based player versus player gameplay. I think this is a good thing. So yes, Wargaming still need to sort out the short-range auto-aim functionality, but this is a move in a positive direction, in my opinion. So there you go, guys. That is my take on this test. I've barely noticed it, but that's because I never engaged in that side of the gameplay style within the game. Any move that Wargaming make to make this more skill-based, I'm all for it. Alright guys, that's all I've got for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave it a like. If not a dislike, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.